People who have met their online friends, what made you instantly regret it? I met a girl in person once, but life got in the way of meeting again for quite a while. We flirted a ton online and via text. The sexual content was at a peak, and we were talking about all the things we were going to do to each other when we saw each other again. Finally, our night had arrived. She wanted to meet at this lame bro bar, but whatever. I figured we'd get a hotel room quickly. I dressed nice, drove out there, and could not find her anywhere. I lived out on the back deck a few times when I finally stopped out there to call her. And it turns out, she was back there the whole time. I had completely looked past her a few times already. She's dressed in like dirty scrubs, she's not a nurse, so WTF. And is practically connected at the hip to some other dude. The body language says it's mutual. As she turns around, she still has her hips thrust into his dick. Oh, hey. There you are. Good to see you. Hey. This is my coworker Josh. He took one hand off her hips to try to shake my hand. Hey. It was a long day at work today. We're really tired, so we're going to go home. So, what the fuck should I do? Drink, I guess. It was so good to see you. I watched them walk around the corner, and then I took a different exit. The next day, she texted and said I looked really good last night. Had I known that was her back there the whole time grinding up on some other dude, I would have grandpa siphoned, too. Oh, hey. There you are. Good to see you. Hey. This is my coworker Josh. He took one hand off her hips to try to shake my hand. Hey. It was a long day at work today. We're really tired, so we're going to go home. So, what the fuck should I do? Drink, I guess. It was so good to see you. I watched them walk around the corner, and then I took a different exit. The next day, she texted and said I looked really good last night. Had I known that was her back there the whole time grinding up on some other dude, I would have grandpa siphoned, too. I actually worked with this lady at the time. She was good looking and very flirtatious. Most importantly, we both played World of Warcraft. At its prime, she ended up inviting me to join her server, and being a then horny 20-something, I, of course, joined up. We played for a time and had a good pop group going her regulars. Of course, she was still flirty with me in game, and I was back all in group chat. Either way, we had some great times together slaying players in pop. Summer comes and it's a company BBQ. I find out she is bringing one of our pop partners to the event. Cruel. It was her husband. A cop. I've been virtually sexting her in game in front of him for 3 months. I actually worked with this lady at the time. She was good looking and very flirtatious. Most importantly, we both played World of Warcraft. At its prime, she ended up inviting me to join her server, and being a then horny 20-something, I, of course, joined up. We played for a time and had a good pop group going her regulars. Of course, she was still flirty with me in game, and I was back all in group chat. Either way, we had some great times together slaying players in pop. Summer comes and it's a company BBQ. I find out she is bringing one of our pop partners to the event. Cruel. It was her husband. A cop. I've been virtually sexting her in game in front of him for 3 months. I asked my ma'am, and she agreed to pick her up from the airport with me, and she could stay with us for one night. I mean, we trusted this girl. I was very open about my friendship with her, we had pictures and everything. So, 2 weeks later, we pick her up from the airport. And we didn't click. She kind of annoyed me, but it was late, and so we just went home. We get home and get her settled. We went up to my room, she gave me some presents and we chat a little bit. She says thanks for letting me stay here this semester. Excuse me. This semester. I asked her, like, what do you mean? You can stay here tonight. We can see each other during the weekends if you want to hang out, but you can't stay here. She goes quiet. We go to sleep. At this point I just wanted her to go away. And I got what I wanted. The next morning, I wake up, and she's gone. I don't even know how she got out, because we lock the doors at night, but she just vanished. We have special locks that you need a key for to open, and the key was somewhere else in the house. Yes, I think this is a fire hazard. No, my ma'am can't be convinced it's unnecessary, her suitcase was still there. I tried calling her, she didn't pick up. She eventually texted me, asking if my mother could drop off her suitcase at a train station 40 minutes away at a certain time. My mother brought the suitcase, and that was that. Never seen her or spoken to her again after that. Now that I think about it, I have a theory about why this went down like it did. She most likely put down my address on her visa application as her place of residency during her stay, and needed to stay in my house, in case immigration was going to check if she was actually there. Also, for those wondering why she annoyed me, she treated my mother like a taxi driver, and she shot down everything I said to her. She was rude to me until she gave me the presents, after which she directly started talking about staying with me the whole semester. She didn't want to talk to me after I said that I had told her she could stay for one night on that exact date. I told her we could discuss it with my parents in the morning. Her and my English were both great, and we had discussed specific dates. I didn't put this in the original comment because I didn't think this would blow up like it did. And I'm not Irish, haha. Well, I met a couple of great guys on CSGO. Swedish, we had a lot of fun. A friend of them joined and played regularly, but we never hit it off like with the rest. He was 2 to 3 years older and was working a lot, so I guess he was tired. Found out that he lives 30 minutes away from me in Norway. We ended up playing more and more together. In the end, when the rest of the guys I met stopped playing the game, it was me and him just chilling playing video games later. Then I finished high school and was supposed to go to the army, so I quit my job and everything and was ready to fly out a couple of days later, but some stuff came up and I didn't get a chance. I tell him, he says I got you. Talks to his boss and gets me a job at his place. It played really well, like really well. But it was hard. I worked there for a year because a week or two later we went snowboarding and I tore my act and he laughed. But then he realized, oh shit, I think he actually really hurt himself. It was his first time snowboarding, and it was my 100th time, and it was my mistake mostly since I was riding behind him, and he crashed, and I hit a patch of ice going 30 kilometers and stopped in a second. We still talk. I still think of him as a super close friend, but he has a baby now, so we haven't really hung out in a while. Maybe not regret it, but it gave me years of depression. I met my best friend through Minecraft, never made friends in this, and I just wanted to play with someone. I have no idea why, so I complimented this girl's skin. We started talking. She was American, I'm Polish, and my English sucked. We moved to Skype, and at first, I mostly typed, but later on she started teaching me English somehow by talking with me. She was 1 year older. We knew each other for almost a year, and I was staying up all night just to talk to her and her friends that she introduced to me. She was also depressed, so we talked with each other, and she was the first person that truly listened to me. We had plans of visiting each other, and then our mutual friend told me she committed suicide. 4 years passed by and now at least I can talk about it and not cry. Still miss her very much though. When I was 19, I jumped on a flight to meet a friend I had known for about 4 to 5 months. We both went through family bereavements and were a shoulder to cry on for each other, via the phone or internet, and we just decided to meet for a few days in a country between us. Until then everything had been perfect. She was the coolest girl, really smart, the kind of person you want to be around all the time. When we met things started great, but a day later, she confessed, "You're not what I expected." What? 19-year-old and not very confident. This knocked me sideways. I don't know, just. You seem different. I never hid who I was before we met, was completely open, and it put a real sour taste on the rest of my time with her. Instead of chatting non-stop and watching Jackass on TV in the hotel at night, we went quiet and straight to sleep, ate in silence. I put as much effort as I could into it, but I still never got to the bottom of how I was different. We went our separate ways, text for a few days, then never spoke again. It was my friend Kate who befriended this girl, Jessica, who allowed us to come and stay with her when we traveled to the US. Jessica was rude to me instantly and kept my friend away from me. I'd go upstairs and she'd find a reason for them to go downstairs. She had Kate share her bedroom and she'd lock the door for hours, and so I'd just go off and do my own thing. We met her two odd friends and they both ignored me. When it was time for Kate and I to move on to another state, Jessica insisted on coming with us. The lady we stayed with in another state, Robin, took no shit and called Jessica out on her strange behavior. Jessica proceeded to lock herself in a room and demanded Kate stay in there with her. They were in there all day, and eventually Kate came out and said to me that there's something wrong with Jessica, and she's actually scared. We, Kate and I, had plans to stay with another online friend, Matt, in another state, and Jessica demanded we cancel because she doesn't like or trust Matt. We said no, this is our holiday and we've paid for flights, and Jessica said then she will come with us, but we can't meet up with Matt. We said no, she cried, we left. Kate blocked her on everything. Kate's mother called us not long after saying Jessica contacted her crying, saying Kate is in danger and we abandoned Jessica, and she's so concerned for my friend's safety. It was actually incredibly scary. Kate found out later from another girl, Jane, they all knew each other from a forum, that Jessica had been telling everyone they were in love, and had even slept together. I don't know how much of that is true, but I've known Kate for 20 years now, and she's never identified as anything but straight. She denied it 100%. Jessica was just obsessed with her, and months later Kate heard Jessica was telling everyone she was saving money to come to our country to find Kate. She never did, thankfully. Other than the time spent with this girl, we had a great holiday and made some good friends. I still talk to Matt, he's great. Met online through a fandom. After a few years the fandom pretty much fell apart, but a handful of us stayed friends, because we actually had a fair amount in common. D was very normal, the rest of the group seemed to love him. About 4 years after just being online mates we met in person, it went fine. We interacted a lot on FB and Instagram. I hit a really busy period in my life, but managed to squeeze in a Christmas get-together at my place for my little group of friends including D. After that my online activity decreased drastically due to being busy, and when I managed to get on FB, I noticed that most of the group were no longer friends with D. Weird, but whatever. I checked my messenger and saw message after message after message asking why I wasn't responding, what was I doing, could we arrange a meetup, etc. Met online through a fandom. After a few years the fandom pretty much fell apart, but a handful of us stayed friends, because we actually had a fair amount in common. D was very normal, the rest of the group seemed to love him. About 4 years after just being online mates we met in person, it went fine. We interacted a lot on FB and Instagram. I hit a really busy period in my life, but managed to squeeze in a Christmas get-together at my place for my little group of friends including D. After that my online activity decreased drastically due to being busy, and when I managed to get on FB, I noticed that most of the group were no longer friends with D. Weird, but whatever. I checked my messenger and saw message after message after message asking why I wasn't responding, what was I doing, could we arrange a meetup, etc. The friends who had long since unfriended him started messaging me that they stopped talking to him because of how creepy he was being in PMs about me, always asking if they knew what I was doing, had I talked to them, was I seeing anyone, was I actually busy, because he was convinced wasn't, etc. In return I told them how he'd been trying to convince me to stop being friends with them, because according to him, they were all sorts of horrible things, and that they were incredibly jealous and hated how close he and I were. I assumed he was just buttered because they stopped talking to him, so was just making up a bunch of crap about these people who had always been perfectly nice to me. One incredibly weird occurrence just before this all happened was me telling a mutual on FB that I was heading to the aquarium in London with my daughter. Mutual friend was also in London that day with their daughter, and maybe we could grab a coffee, let the kids play in the park for a bit. I checked my messages later that evening, and D was incredibly upset because he'd waited at Farringdon station exit for 2 hours, so he could come to the aquarium too, and I didn't show up. We did not get off at that station, but one that was 2 stops after and closer to where we were going. I haven't heard a peep in over a year. He has apparently deleted his FB and Instagram, and thankfully just disappeared. My brother met a girl in person that he had known for 4 to 5 years online, during which time they had kind of had an online relationship. She had brought her friend with her to meet him, and while they were sitting around a table awkwardly making conversation, with my brother apparently quite shocked at how bad she looked in person, compared to how she looked online, and having absolutely no interest in her other than as friends, the girl sent her friend a message saying, "Get me out of here, he's looking at me like he wants to jump me," but she accidentally sent it to my brother. What ensued was likely incredibly painful to be part of. My brother showed her. The lady was crazy. We met through an app that was advertised as a meet friends app, and not a dating app. Well, turns out, it was a dating app. However, she put in her bio that she was married with 2 kids. I put that I was in a long-term relationship and looking for friends. BTW, I'm a guy. She wasn't, so, when we arranged a meetup, her husband and 2 kids were there as well as my girlfriend. Everything was going great. Hung out a few times and added each other on Facebook. Turns out, she was super into the whole breastfeeding in public thing. Like, I get it. You go girl. but she was super obsessed with it. 4 out of every 5 pics she posted to FB was her boob in her kid's mouth. She got angry when you looked away when in public. Like, she wanted you to stare at her while she breastfed. Just got to the point that I was super uncomfortable with it and moved on.